Good morning. Welcome to 365 Days of Amazing Stories with Theo Mayer. Here we are on day 160 of 2025. And having finished the story of the King of the Wind, the story of the Godolphin Arabian, who made such a difference in the lineage of horses that followed. And all these racing horses that we hear about can trace their lineage back to the Godolphin Arabian. Seabiscuit being one of them. What a great story. There's story after story of how these horses have changed people's lives, and Seabiscuit is one of them. Seabiscuit was a horse that lived during the Great Depression, and he was a horse that was not seen as true racehorse potential. So he was used to help train horses that people thought had great potential. He would run alongside them on the racetrack, and when the horses would really get into it to see who would win, the rider of Seabiscuit would hold him back so that he would lose, and the other horse would win to boost the confidence of that other horse. Now, maybe it did that for those other horses, but what it did to Seabiscuit was it just ruined his esteem, his self-esteem. By the time he was 3 years old, he was angry and virtually unmanageable. He would kick out at anyone that entered his stall. He would rear. He didn't want to do anything. He was angry. Now, there was a trainer, his name was Tom. And Tom had been around horses all his life. And he knew how to bring a broken horse back into health. Now broken in its body or in its spirit. And Tom really knew what to look for in a horse. Now there was another guy who, after a failed marriage and reuniting with a new love, had gotten into horses, or back into horses, as he had been into horses. He was a car salesman. He ended up buying Seabiscuit at Tom's advice. He had met Tom over a campfire and had solicited his help in finding a potentially good racehorse. And Tom knew that in order to find a good racehorse, you had to find a horse that had the heart, the stamina, and the drive. But what lived in the heart was the most important. A horse that wouldn't give up, a horse that had spirit. Tom saw Seabiscuit out on a track one day, and that horse looked at him. And Tom looked at that horse and saw within Seabiscuit that potential. So he advised this man to buy the horse, which he did, and Tom began to train it. But that was a difficult task because Seabiscuit, as I had mentioned, was pretty daggone angry. Now, in these places where horses were trained, racetracks, there were usually a lot of horses, a lot of people there that were taking care of the horses, helping train them, helping ride them. And there was one young man there that was hot leading a horse, warming it up. And as he was walking this horse around, he was muttering to himself and sort of cursing. And Tom saw him. Well, and he decided to go over and introduce himself and find out who this young man was. And we'll stop the story there.